All right. Hi, I'm Nine Scire. Thanks for tuning in to my new quarantine podcast, At Home with Dance. This is episode 5, Perspective. Today I want to talk about what dance is like from the outside, and specifically what non-dancers experience when they watch dance. And back by popular demand, I brought back a special guest, my sister Sarah.
Wait, are you calling me a non-dancer?
Yes, you are a non-dancer.
Okay. Professional.
No, Sarah, your 10-year-old ballet class doesn't count. Anyway, my sister Sarah is back by popular demand. So Sarah, you've seen a good amount of dance in your life, whether it was, me or a professional company.
I watched a lot of So You Think You Can Dance.
Yes, that too. So, can you talk about, some of the first things that pop out to you when you watch dance?
Okay. I guess emotion.
Okay.
So facial expressions, and I guess obviously the type of music and all that, but conveys a specific type of mood.
Right.
And so, yeah, I guess depending on, there's a lot of factors that play into, how I'm gonna read it, but if you're moving really fast and have a big smile and, you're stomping and stamping, what is the...
Oh, you're using your dance trivia knowledge now.
Obviously.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It's gonna be different than, the slow, lyrical...
Right.
Sad boy hour.
Yeah, I think to a non-dancer, emotion is the easiest thing to pick out because it's, so obvious.
Yeah. I think other than that, when I watch people dance, I don't necessarily think of this first, but something that does cross my mind, perhaps after, is because of all of the emotion that I did whatever see in it. It's a form of expression, and that is something that I do really appreciate, in the same way that that's the reason that I make art, and that's why I love art so much. It's you want to share a narrative, you want to share an experience with somebody.
Right. So that being said, do you think that dance always has to be created for the purpose of, or rather with an audience in mind? Do you think it's...
No, absolutely not. I dance in the bathroom every day by myself.
Okay.
And I think part of it is just I've thought about that in terms of making art. Why do I make art? Is it just for other people to look at? And sometimes yes, but also it's a release. It's some kind of therapeutic thing for a lot of people. So of course you can dance in that same way, dance for you.
Right.
Sometimes.
And I think when you dance for yourself, it's almost easier for those who do end up watching to kind of interpret what you're doing, because the emotions that come out when you're dancing
real.
for yourself are way more genuine.
Yeah.
And then that's what comes across to the people who watch.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's way cooler than, just putting on a smile and doing it because people are watching you.
Absolutely.
So I feel it's both. It can be either. It can be one at a time. But I feel when it's simultaneous, it's way more effective.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
I think that's always something I think about too. I always think about if dance is meant to be internal or if it's meant to be seen by outsiders.
That's kind of funny, because something that makes me laugh all the time is that why do we want to wiggle our bodies when music comes on?
Yeah,
that's so funny to me. And anybody, people across the world,
yeah, because it's an instinctual response.
Yeah, so then that makes me feel dancing,
but it's also entertainment.
Right. But because of the instinctual part, it makes me feel it's just kind of for you. And then
Yeah.
it has become, like, obviously there is so much history in so many different cultures that has also made it into the, like, a beloved kind of form of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it does make me laugh sometimes to think, like, why we're just, like, all bopping around.
Yeah. And the other thing is that, you know, when I'm creating movement, I see it a certain way. I'm interpreting it the way I interpret it, and it's my ideas coming to life through movement.
Yeah.
And if anyone happens to be watching that, they don't know what's happening in my mind, and they don't know how it's, you know, supposed to be interpreted, so they're gonna interpret it the way they see it.
Yeah.
Which proves that there's no right way to see dance or to feel dance.
Yeah. I get that. That's kind of like with anything, though, you know? Like, you can never actually be in somebody else's head. You can only, like, understand it from an outside perspective. And I've thought a lot about that with, like, my art making. Is, like, if I paint something that, you know, is something that represents some kind of, like, psychological part of my thought process or my mind, it's like, how do I know that someone else is gonna look at that and feel anything close to what I'm feeling unless I actually tell them what it means and, like, how I arrived there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just, like, important to be shared. So, like, it doesn't necessarily have to connect with someone on the same exact level that it connects with you on. It's just about, like, relating an experience. And then, like, I think that
well, that brings me to another question. Do you think that art, not even dance specifically, just art, has to have a meaning attached to it, or can it just be art for the sake of being art?
I think it's such a,
because I feel like humans want to find significance in things, and they want to have a reason behind things, so they almost, like, pull meaning out of art where there might not even be any, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the artist who created it might have created it just because, you know, they found it visually appealing, they liked the colors, they liked how the movement felt.
Yeah,
you know?
That kind of reminds me of, like, have you ever heard of Duchamp?
No, what is that?
It's an artist. Here, look it up.
How do you spell that?
Duchamp. Try that.
Okay, so tell me about
I
it.
want to say that I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Marcel Duchamp, yeah. So he was this French guy who, like, ended up taking a urinal and, like, ripping it out of the wall and, like, turning it upside down. And then I think he wrote something on it. But then he, like, put it out there for people to see. Yeah, he wrote Arma on it, which is like a fake name, like a fake artist name or whatever.
Okay.
Like, it was, like, anonymous. And it, like, revolutionized the art world. Because people were like, this is not art. Like, this can't be art. Like, what is this? And then it just blew everyone's mind, because if you put something in, like, a public gallery space, like, it doesn't automatically make it art. But it was just kind of this whole, I didn't articulate that very well, but it's kind of the idea that
basically
you're getting at.
He took a very mundane object, a urinal, and he put it on the ground of a gallery.
Yep.
And it became art.
Yeah, so it's like, then is anything art as long as you just, like,
as long as there's intention?
Yeah.
Maybe not, though.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like, and then it's all about, like, detaching art from, like, the aesthetic part of it. I don't know.
Cool.
Little art history for today.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something I think about a lot with dance making. Like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like people are too focused on the meaning of things. And while it's great to analyze that stuff, and, you know, you can find a deeper connection when you kind of work to find one,
Mm-hmm.
that's all great and amazing, and I think it's an important skill to have. But also, I feel like we a lot of times forget that art is just supposed to make you feel good, make you feel anything.
Feel something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just something that I think about a lot with dance.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it's cool that you can connect it to other kinds of art too, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like when I'm in a museum staring at something, you know, I'm like, what does this mean? There's got to be something. There's got to be a reason why it's here.
Why it's in a museum. Yeah. And like, I've been in my fair share of contemporary museums.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've been to Mass MoCA together in North Adams in Massachusetts, and like it's a block from where I go to school. But like, yeah, there's stuff in there that like you walk in and you don't read the text on the wall and you're like, what am I looking at?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what does this mean? Is there a meaning? And sometimes there's like tons of meaning behind something, but you would literally never arrive there unless you read it, or you could interpret it in so many different ways. And
even then you're like, is this right? Is this what this artist intended me to experience?
right. And sometimes
But like,
it's completely removed. Like, sometimes you don't even get that information, and then it becomes like this kind of back and forth between like, does this mean something really big, or does this mean nothing at all? And then like I don't know if you remember this, but we saw that like black dot on the wall, that little felt dot that was on the wall, and had like nothing around it, and it took up an entire wall, and that was it. And we thought it was so funny, and we like walked over to it, and we were like taking pictures in front of it because it was in a contemporary art museum. But then we were like, what the heck does that mean? And maybe it's about like solitude, or like,
right.
but like, I don't even know if that's like the artist's intent anymore.
All right, well, I think that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, let me know if there's any topic that you'd like me to cover, or if you'd like to be a guest in a future episode. This episode shout out goes to all of the dance teachers and professors I've ever had. I am the dancer and the person that I am because of them, and I'm excited to keep learning more about art in the future. So from my headphones to yours, thanks for listening, and keep dancing.